Hi everyone, Teresa here for the Knit Petite project, and this week's post goes over looking at a few different charts and the things to keep in mind when looking at charts and the information that they contain. I also encourage us to look at the numbers that we took body measurement wise back in February, if you remember that post, and compare some of those to the information in charts that we can find. So some of the things that I try to bring your attention to is make note of where you find the chart, who the chart is intended for, how much information is in the chart, and where any gaps may be in the information you're looking at. We look at charts from that knitwear designers use. We look at charts from some sewing patterns and that industry, some of them vintage, and we look at a few charts from retailers. So each of those categories will give different information and they're intended for slightly different audiences, and it's interesting to see where gaps may exist in our own measurements versus the chart measurements. The past few months we've been looking at some of the reasons why there may be gaps in the measurements that includes in the measurements of our own bodies. So now we can move forward and actually look at the information that we're handed. So for example, in stores you may find that the information is extremely limited. Maybe they just give you 2 measurements to base this information on. We've already looked at the fact that for everybody, but particularly for the concerns of petite women, there's lots of measurements that are not included on garments or when we go out shopping. Very often it doesn't tell you what the cross-pack measurement is. It won't tell you like armhole depth. It may not say that kind of information. So you have to go in with a certain amount of faith that the thing that you're buying is going to fit you. So we look at the charts this week. I alert you to some of the things that you should keep in mind when looking at charts. And the questions for this week, I actually have 2. One of them is for you to do that such to go to your favorite retailer, whatever that is, and see the information that they have. So some retailers give a little bit more than others do. Again, it depends on the audience and it depends on the context, right? So if you're an online retailer that's very, very much into selling online, you're going to be motivated to give more information to your consumers so that they feel more confident in their purchase and that when they get their purchase, they keep it. So it fits them, right? So they're prepared with as much information as possible. So look at your favorite retailers, see the information for sizing that they give you. I also ask to share any petite, petite plus knitting charts, or sorry, not knitting charts, sizing charts that you may find. So it's actually not easy to find a lot of in-depth information for those sizing categories online. In my searches, and I've been looking for many months, I haven't really found much of anything. The few that I have found, I've given a couple examples in the post. If you find any, please share them with me. I'd love to see what different retailers are sharing, or whatever these places are that are putting out these charts, what they're sharing, maybe who the audience is for, so that we can all look at this information and try and learn collaboratively about the landscape of petite sizing and petite plus sizing that exists today. So thanks for tuning in, and looking forward to April. We're going to start looking at what some of the petite fit issues are. Then in future months we'll look into things like how to address those issues and all sorts of other different areas that will help us to learn a little bit more about fit issues and how we can deal with them. So thanks for tuning in, and if you'd like to give a hand to the Knit Petite project, I'm collecting information about those fit issues. Check out the very, very brief survey link in the description below. I'd very, very much appreciate getting information from you about what your petite fit issues actually are. Perhaps you have broad shoulders but a short torso. Maybe you have narrow shoulders and short legs. There's all sorts of different measurements that you can have that put you in a petite category. Now remember, that's all sizes, but as long as you're 5'4" and shorter, or have body length measurements that are shorter than they expect you to be. So if you'd like to share that information, I'd very much appreciate it. Just fill out the very short survey in the description below, and stay tuned next week when we'll start talking about those petite fit issues together. Thanks again, everyone.